Whoa, 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 whoa there. Slow down, partner. This is not the video that I think y'all have made it out to be. What we're doing in this video is talking about the Detroit Red Wings and a very good forward on the team, whose name has been kind of tossed out there, not too seriously, but seriously enough to take it seriously. And a guy who, if you wanted to say there was kind of a trade conversation building itself up about him, I don't think it would be entirely false, but at the same time, it's not one of these things where it's all too big of a deal. So, we're heading over to Detroit and talking about a guy in Patrick Kane, who has been nothing short of just great with this Red Wings team. Now, I say that, of course, bearing the unfortunate, unsportsmanlike penalty here and there. I still don't know what the heck that was about when he was given that call. But Patrick Kane, for all intents and purposes, has been good with the Red Wings. 35 years old, signed till the end of this season, making $2.75 million a year, and he's got 14 points in 16 games played at the time of recording this audio. 6 goals, 8 assists. He is on pace for 51 points in 58 games with a 20-goal season. Not bad for a guy who had just signed on like a few months into the year and who had to take all the summer off, pretty much relearning how to move and how to skate. Kane has gone through a miraculous journey, doubting all the haters who said that this surgery would end his career, that this surgery was something that no other NHL player has come back from and actually played well afterwards. That still may be the case, but now there's one. Patrick Kane, ladies and gentlemen, he's gone out there and defied the odds. That's the big thing that I think a lot of people were sort of bringing up, that yeah, you could talk about Kessler, you could talk about Backstrom, you could talk about the Ed Jovanovskis and everybody else who had the surgery and who weren't able to come back, but Patrick Kane is better than all of them. And if there's anybody that's going to go out there and prove everybody wrong in this situation, it's going to be Patrick Kane. Who else is it going to be? But because Kane is in a position where he is signed and he does have trade protection on his contract, take a look at the move, he's got a no-trade clause. Because the Red Wings are in a pretty interesting spot in the NHL standings, there was sort of an idea that was brought up by a few insiders over the past few weeks, debating whether or not Patrick Kane could, would, or should be actually in the trade conversation. How, if the Wings are okay, but not good enough to make the playoffs, maybe you could see a Patrick Kane swap at the deadline where he goes over to a contender and he ends up trying to win a Stanley Cup. The Wings right now, as of recording this audio, are 4th in the Atlantic Division. They've got 44 points in 40 games played, and they are 2 points out of a wildcard spot. Actually, they're tied for a wildcard spot with New Jersey, but they've got 2 more games played, so they're technically not in it. If the Wings were to falter as the year went on, could we see a Patrick Kane trade? That's what this video goes out there and tries to answer, as we had ourselves David Perron making an appearance on SiriusXM NHL Radio earlier this weekend. Now, I'm going to be honest, I do not have any audio links or whatever to go out there and listen to this yourself. I tried to find if SiriusXM has any podcasts on the Apple app or on Spotify. I could not find it. If anybody else is able to find it, then hey, you're smarter than I am. Leave a link in the description if anybody wants to go ahead and listen to it. But essentially, SiriusXM NHL Radio is pretty much what it is. It's talking about hockey all the time, and David Perron is a very frequent contributor on these segments. Because Perron made an appearance earlier this week, we had ourselves the update as to what the Red Wings may actually do with Patrick Kane, with Perron's assessment being available through transcription. Here's an article published on NHLRumours.com by Jim Behringer, who went out there and transcribed Perron's recent interview on the Power Play show with SiriusXM NHL Network Radio's Steve Kouleas and Carter Hutton. Here is the transcription, as written out by NHLRumours.com. Steve Kouleas goes out there and asks, could Patrick Kane, if the Wings stay where they are, get flipped? Was getting flipped part of the conversation? It must have been. I've been following the numbers at one point, and they were 2-8-1. Then they dropped to 3-9-1, so right now they're 5-9-1. Since Kane was acquired, he's doing his job. He didn't get a point last time, though. He's got 13 points in 14 games, but with the Wings, there's not enough room. I don't think there will be a wildcard team from the Atlantic Division. I honestly don't. I think it's going to be Boston, Florida, Toronto, or Florida, Boston, Toronto, and that's it. The race, the bids, I'm sorry, John, my buddy Cooper, but there are too many good teams in the Metro. But anyway, what about Detroit then flipping number 88? Pagnotta goes out there and says, "I'd be a little surprised because I think the mindset was that if this works out this season, he'll be in Detroit longer." If things kind of go well, at least from Kane's perspective, then that's the kind of plan it would be, because initially, remember guys, he wanted a 3-year contract out the gate when things started, and everybody was very hesitant about that. They want to see how Kane could perform. How would you come back from surgery on hip replacement, so we'll see kind of how this evolves, and how you could definitely change your mind. But I think initially, out of the get-go, this was a let's do it, a 1 year, let's see how you perform. If things go well, we'll keep you around for at least another season or two and sign a 2-year deal type of situation. But I think the mindset going in was kind of a 3-year type of commitment, and then kind of explore from there. So I would be at least right now a little surprised if that changes, at least from Kane's perspective. He certainly knows he has options, but those options were going to be similar to what he had last season as well. So I think, from Detroit's perspective, another team waits and sees where they're at. But the Wings have got some other pieces on expiring deals that if they do decide to sell, whether it's a Gostisbehere or even David Perron, and both of these guys have some no-trade protection, then I think they would look in that direction instead of Patty Kane. But you know, we'll see. Again, another environment, another situation that's a little bit too early right now to draw any conclusions. So I'm going off of my gut here, and I'm choosing to believe that this transcription is real. That this is what David Pagnotta went out there on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio and said. Again, I don't have the audio on hand, so I can't really verify it, but the article that we pulled this from will be linked in the description if you want to read this yourself and do whatever you please with it. Also give NHLRumours.com some ad views, because they kind of deserve it for transcribing this entire thing. I'll admit the transcription kind of feels like AI at some point, but it's better than nothing, right? So hearing this update from Pagnotta, seeing that Patrick Kane's initial idea when he wanted to get a contract signed in the first place was 3 years, only for teams to go out there and offer him a maximum of 1, the idea that Pagnotta is presenting is that, hey, this 3-year idea is still there, it's just divided. It's not 3 years right off the gate, it's 1 year and then 2 years. It's Kane saying that he wants this 3-year plan with a team that he can commit to, and if the team feels that he's an appropriate fit, they'll go beyond the 1-year contract, because no team wanted to give him a 3-year contract right away, considering the health reports and the concerns with that surgery. It's interesting as well to note that there is some sort of an update on other guys, that David Perron could get traded, that Gostisbehere could get traded, should the Wings find themselves in a non-competitive position by the time the trade deadline rolls around. But it's also interesting because for a lot of these other guys, you could say that there is a lot of value that would be given up on should you try to trade a Gostisbehere away, for example. He's got 28 points in 39 games played this year. He has been such a beast on the power play for this team. David Perron, on the other hand, he's literally at half a point a game, 17 points, 34 games played, but there is sort of a very didactic attitude that Perron presents every time he's out there on the ice. You could feel his presence missing when he was suspended earlier in the year. That was a thing that I thought a lot of Red Wings fans were bringing up, that, hey, this team lacks a lot of intensity when Perron is not in the lineup, and there's value in that. Whether or not you think it's a lot of value, there's still value there. So my question to you here is, Patrick Kane, okay, we're probably going to assume he's not getting traded. David Perron, what's the situation there? Do you think he gets flipped at the deadline if the Wings are not competitive? Shayne Gostisbehere, what are your thoughts over there too? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this Red Wings trade update and how Stevie Y has got some things to think about. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this. And bye.